Hello.
Hello, Vic. How are you, sir?
Oh, I got a little cold, but I'll survive.
Completely unacceptable. 2 minutes past 9 o'clock.
I will talk to her, guys. I apologize.
Your apology is accepted, and I'm just bullshitting.
I know. She got in the rhythm there. Chris got her all fired up. Okay, guys, your guest is here. We go live as soon as you're ready, Chris.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, guys, we'll go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live.
Hello, everyone. I'm Psychic Medium Chris George, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Victor the Voice Furman and Jeremy Moonshine Adams, whose beard is getting way too friggin' big for his face, but that's another story. Welcome to our show. This is Vision Quest, where we will try and unleash the power of your mind, or at least the power of that friggin' beard. It's August 8th, and we are airing live on DTMWickedRadio.com, and we want to thank everyone for being here tonight. The call-in number is 818-431-8214. Don't hesitate to use it, and you can ask Jeremy about that friggin' crazy beard he's got going on. He literally looks like one of the Duck Dynasty guys, but I don't know what he's thinking.
Hey, Chris, remember the story? Remember the fairy tale about Rapunzel letting down her hair? Well, he's going to let down his beard so somebody can climb up.
I mean, I'm telling you. You literally could climb that beard. It's unbelievable. He could take that beard and cover his eyeballs with it. What's up with that?
Dude, look. I can pull it. I can pull it down here, and I can bring it all the way up to the tip of my nose.
Meanwhile, listen, I know you're from the South, but, come on. Really? You're like a walking stereotype. What's up with that? Look, my mother wants to see Anyway, say hi to Anyway, this is going to be a very interactive show. Every week we will bring on a great guest, and you guys can call in, and you can talk to them. You can pepper them with questions. Our guests are really, really great, and they handle the questions well. So sit back, relax, and let's cross the threshold of reality together. We have a couple fan pages. My fan page is Psychic Medium Chris George. I give away free readings every month, so hit me up, like the page, and maybe you'll be the lucky winner. We have Victor the Voice Furman fan page, which is a kick-ass page, and we have the newest page, which is Jeremy Moonshine Adams, and he has a fantastic page as well.
Wait a second, man. I give away free sarcasm once a month, so I'm just saying you could win that.
Hey, Jeremy's also giving away free clippings of his beard. So if you like him on his fan page, you can win a free clipping of his beard. And there's plenty to go around, so there's a lot of likes to be done here.
You know what? Wait a minute. It's still a couple months before New Year's, man. It's going to be down to my chest by then.
You are not coming to my house with a beard down to your chest.
Oh, you're damn right I am. And
we'll get killed. We live in New York. We'll get killed.
Hey, you know what? I don't give a damn if I'm in New York or not. I'm still Southern, man. You can't change that.
All right. Anyway, we have one more page that we would love for you guys to like, more than any of the other pages, actually, and that is our Vision Quest group page on Facebook. We're really interactive on there. We put some really cool things up, and we have a really good time. So check it out. Meanwhile, Jeremy, do you have a good clip for the week or what? Good news for the week?
I didn't kill anybody today.
You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Moonshine.
I don't, man. You know what? I completely forgot.
So you're admitting to all our listeners that you had a brain fart.
I'm admitting to everybody that I failed in my duty and.
All right. We'll give you a pass. I guess that beard ain't doing you no good. Anyway, last week's guest was Val Logan, and his book was The Secret of Creating Good Luck in Any Situation. Let's start with Victor. Victor, what did you think of our guest last week?
Manifesting. That was the story of what Val brought to us, and it's true. Anything that you put into energy with your intention is something that'll manifest as long as it doesn't disagree with your highest good.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Jeremy?
You know what? I thought the guy was great, but trying to get him to just pause for half a second to ask, something else, it was rough, but he was a good guest. I liked him.
Jeremy, you know something? Every once in a while, you need a guest like that. We call that a vacation show, so we can just sit back and relax. That's it.
That's right. And I'm sitting back and relaxing. For those of you who watched my YouTube videos from last week, you know that we had a big party at my house, and we made gallons and gallons of jungle juice, and we had so much left over that we bottled it, and that is actually what I am having tonight. I'm looking forward to putting a few away. It's going to be a good time for me over here.
You know what?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I've still got buttery nipples in the refrigerator, man.
We don't need to know about your nipples. Anyway, I got to bring something up first, real quick, Victor. For those of you who don't know, Victor and I have another radio show called Second Sight, and I don't really like talking about each show on the other show, but I got to bring this up because it's been driving me crazy, Victor. Our guest last night, I thought he was good, but that whole ectoplasm coming to life and speaking was the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard, and it took every bit of my power not to call them out on that. Other than that, I thought they were great, but that was a crock of baloney.
Chris, I've got to say that under my tutelage and mentorship, you have truly grown, my friend, my brother. You have now grown to the point where you can let someone else express something that you completely disagree with, but let them have the right to express it.
I did. It wasn't easy, Victor. It wasn't easy. I kept hearing your voice in my ear saying, "Chris, just breathe," and I did, and I got through it, and I'm happy about that.
I'm proud of you, pal. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Well, I want to give the call-in number one more time. It's 818-431-8214. Our guest tonight is Terry J. And Victor, I know that you have a little bio on our guest. So why don't you go for it?
I certainly do. Welcome to our guest, Terry J. Terry is an internationally acclaimed medium, intuitive, pet psychic, horse whisperer, energy healer, and much, much more. She's also renowned as a medical and veterinary intuitive. She regularly communicates with both people and pets on the other side, particularly when helping people deal with the loss of a loved one. She also has the unique ability to communicate with people who have communication disorders such as autism, Alzheimer's disease, traumatic brain injuries, coma, and the rest. Welcome, Terry J. Good evening.
Good evening. It's great to be here with all of you.
Oh, thank you. Terry, I have a real quick question before we get on with this interview. Do you have, with all those abilities you have, do you have the ability to have a conversation with that crazy beard of my co-host? Because that thing has a life of its own, and I'm trying to know what it's got to say.
Why are you going on my beard?
Chris, I'm kind of prejudiced because I really do like beards.
See?
There you go.
Let me ask something, Terry. Could you see our pictures on the Skype?
Yeah, you're all very good looking, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I knew I liked you. But look at that beard. And listen, and he's talking about letting it grow all the way to New Year's Eve. He's coming to my home for New Year's Eve. We got a bunch of guineas here. Everyone who thinks they're half of my family is mafia, they might want to put some cement shoes on him with that beard. I'm scared for him.
No. You know why? Because I'm in with Uncle Vito. That's why.
Listen.
No,
I'm about to channel Jeremy's beard. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, go.
Every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man.
There you go, man. It's awesome, man. When Kenesha runs her fingers through my beard, she washes it and it gets its own conditioner. And
Jeremy, did you find the watch that you lost? That's all I want to know.
All right, enough about that crazy-ass beard of his. In fact, Victor, Mr. Furman, the voice, why don't you start this interview off?
Terry, why don't you tell us how you discovered your intuitive abilities, please?
That's a very weird story. I'm really just a Nevada cowgirl. I really am. And I was doing a horseback therapy program with disabled kids, and I picked a kid up out of his wheelchair and put him on the back of one of the horses, and he looked at me and he said, "Ouch, I have a cramp in my hip." So I looked at him and I said, "You have a cramp? Well, here, sit this way. It'll take the cramp out." And he said, "Hey, you can hear me." And I said, "Well, of course I can hear you." It didn't dawn on me at the time that he was totally nonverbal.
Wow, that's fantastic.
We just continued our lesson, and there was a gal leading the horse, and of course I always walked alongside them and put them through their paces. And I took him off the horse and put him in his wheelchair, and he went back to class. And the gal that was helping me just very matter of fact said, "Boy, he sure is talking great." And I said, "Well, he's very bright. Just because he has cerebral palsy doesn't necessarily mean that he's, mentally retarded." And she said, "Terry, he didn't say a word. He can't, remember?" And I mean, if I was a horse, I would have done a buck fart snort, because if you've been around horses a long time, you know they can do all three of those things at one time when they're spooked, and I was spooked. So anyway, I went into the classroom, and they put a band around his head with a pointer attached to it, and he had typed out on his computer, "Horse lady can hear me."
Wow.
And he finished that just about the time I got there. So then I was standing there talking to him, and I knew that I could hear him mentally. That really blew me away. So I went back outside, and the gal said, you know, if you can learn to communicate with, you know, hear nonverbal children, you could learn to communicate with the horses, because all animals are telepathic, and then wouldn't that make your program really safe? So, you know, like an idiot, I just went, okay, I'm going to do that. And there weren't really any books about this. This is 1990, and there really weren't any books available on how to do this. So I was married to a horse trainer at the time, and we always had strange horses, you know, different horses coming in for training and retraining, and I could just, you know, look at them and read them. It was amazing to me to be able to do that. And then about a year into it, I heard my first dead person when I was doing a horse reading. And it's just sort of evolved from there. Now,
you never had any of these experiences as a child?
I don't think so. I don't remember anything. And
was there anything that happened to you traumatically around 1990 or slightly before? A lot of people have near-death experiences and then all of a sudden awaken psychically.
No, nothing.
Interesting.
It was just as I shared. So, I mean, and you have to remember, I'm really a down-to-earth person. My horse wakes me up screaming at me in the morning. I go out there and feed her, move hay, carry feed sacks on my shoulder, shovel manure. I mean, you know, so to work in the ethers all the time is just a huge contrast. I joke and call myself an anomaly.
Wow.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Go ahead, Jeremy. Why don't you take the next one?
When did you first communicate with someone who had passed?
It was about a year into it. I was doing a horse reading, and this gal changed subjects on me and said, "Did you hear we lost our daughter?" And of course, I made I said, "I'm so sorry for your loss." And as she's telling me about her daughter, I said, "You know, I think I can hear her." She said, "Terry, I didn't know you did that." And I said, "Well, this is a first for me." And so I shared information with her that was very, very specific, like the husband and wife were talking about setting up a scholarship in their daughter's name, sort of to remember her. And I said, "No, it has to be two." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "She had a dual major." So, you know, it's things like that I couldn't have known. And that was my very first time.
Interesting. All right, I want to know, I understand that you do crossing over style readings a little bit differently than, say, someone like John Edwards. How is it that you are able to communicate with the specific deceased person that your client wants to connect to every time? Now, this is interesting to me because I'm also a psychic medium, and I consider myself to be pretty good at what I do. And there are times where I cannot connect with a specific spirit. So I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, here's the thing, is that you got to remember I went from reading pets to reading dead people. So I'd say, what's this pet's name? What breed is it? What species is it? And what's the issue? And as I was asking these questions and my client was giving me back the information, boom, I had the animal. It was like it was right in front of me like a hologram. And so that's how I was doing pet readings. I mean, because some of my clients, they'd have 14 horses and 8 dogs, and, you know, it was really hard to figure out, you know, which animal do you want me to focus on? So when I started communicating with the deceased, I did it exactly the same way. Who did you lose? You know, what's your loved one's name? And, of course, I was doing readings on deceased pets before I was doing deceased people, because that was just part and parcel of my work as a pet psychic. And so I would say, who do you want to talk to? You know, what's their name? What was their age at passing? What they do for a living? And then, boom, I've got them. And to me, when I do my shows, it's so much more interesting because it isn't trying to figure out which person in human form we're trying to connect to the deceased. there's one of the very well-known mediums that says when you're doing this work, it's like you're sitting in a room with 800 radios going, and you've got to figure out which radio to listen to. Well, I do it the other way because I go, tell me which radio to listen to. That's a heck of a lot easier, and it gives you a much better connection. I mean, really think about this, Chris. We're just like big cell phone towers. That's all we are. We receive information, and we pass it on where appropriate. And that's basically what we're doing.
Terry, Chris is so big he covers 3 states. You know that.
Terry, I got a follow-up question because being a pet psychic as well, I've connected with many pets for people and whatnot, and I find it to be a real specialty because a lot of the psychics and the mediums I know really can't connect with animals for whatever reason. I have to believe that you are extremely busy when it comes to trying to connect people with their pets, being that people it seems like they love their pets more than they love their family sometimes, the humans. So I'm guessing you're extremely busy when it comes to connecting with the animals. Would that be safe to say?
Absolutely. It is a big part of my work. The funny thing is I can be doing a pet reading and all of a sudden I'll get something on the human about a health issue or a relationship issue or something else that's going on with them too. So most of my readings are just cover everything. They just cover everything.
Okay.
Let me just have one other follow-up. I just want to say, Terry, the reason why Chris sort of had to choke out the name John Edwards is because Chris and John are cousins, actually.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
It's really not that cute, Terry. Trust me. I'll go on. I don't think I've ever spoken about this on Vision Quest. I've spoken about it on Second Sight. John, listen. Listen. People need to know who their host is, right? They need to know what I believe and what I do, and same thing with you guys. John is my cousin. We are not friends. We are not close. We used to be. I think he's a very good psychic. But as a person, I think he's an asshole. That's the truth. That's how I feel about him. I'll never disrespect him as a psychic because I think he's one of the pioneers of the modern generation of psychics. I mean, I think he's the one who made being psychic cool and brought it to the forefront and made it to where people could actually talk about it and made it mainstream. So in that aspect, I will always give him respect. But as a person, he will never get respect from me. So that's my take on Mr. John Edwards.
And, Terry, I just want to tell you that I've been working diligently for the last year to get John Edwards on the show with Chris, and I will make that happen before the end of this year.
He'll never do it. He'll never do it.
Chris, that was a very touching story, and I just wanted you to know that I'm tearing up right now.
Moonshine, you're killing me. And to speak on what Victor said, I don't think that there's any chance that John would ever get on the air with me. One thing you guys should know about John is, although he's a very good psychic and very good at what he does, he's not very competitive. He's actually very uncompetitive. Growing up, he was always the one who, when we were outside playing with all the cousins, he stayed in with my grandmother and his grandmother were sisters, and he would stay inside with them and not ever be part of all the activity and stuff like that. So the chance of him coming on and on a show where I'm on, it just won't happen because he thinks that I'll say things that I probably shouldn't say, which I would never do. I would never disrespect him like that. And despite the fact that I don't like him as a person, I would never disrespect him, on the air like that. To his face, that's a whole nother story. But it'll never happen. But if you can do it, Victor, more power to you.
Hey, well, Victor, you know what? All you have to do is clip this and send it to him and let him hear Chris say that he would never disrespect him. He'll come on the show.
I think
let's get back to our interview.
Let's get back to our interview.
About Chris.
Yeah. Let's
always
get
about
back to our
him.
interview.
Jesus.
Go ahead, Victor.
Terry, please share how you developed your medical and veterinary intuitive abilities.
The veterinary intuitive ability really just sort of evolved, as I was doing the pet psychic work because, when you're looking at an animal and you can get like a number rating on the amount of pain the animal's in, and you're given stuff. If you're open enough and you stay out of your own way, you're given stuff that there's no way you can know. There's no way you can know this stuff. And you just get it, and sometimes you get words that you have no idea what they even are or what they mean. But, my clients can take that to the veterinarians then. Usually they're calling me to find out, is it time to euthanize the animal? How much pain is the animal in? They'll have a disease going on that they're not sure how to treat it, or they're not sure what the disease is. And I've got some pretty bizarre stories of where the veterinarians were stumped, and I'm just handed the information, so I just relay it. That's my job, is just not to judge it, just to relay that information. And then I had two wonderful mentors who were both energy healers, and they were pretty tough on me, calling me up, 5 and 6 times a day. Hey, can you look at something? Can you look at something? And remember, we're over the phone. And so I would tell them what I was getting. One of my mentors got bucked off her horse and called me from the ambulance and asked, what did I hurt? And I just scanned her real quick and told her the test that she needed to determine, if that was correct. And she shows up in the emergency room and tells the doctor what tests he needs to run. And the doctor said, are you a physician? And she said, no, my friend's a medical intuitive, and she scanned me, and she said, that's what's wrong. And the doctor said, where is she? Well, she's not here. She did it on the phone. And, of course, he got hysterical laughing until they got through evaluating her, and it was exactly as I had said. That one was pretty funny. And he goes, now, how did she scan you? And it was over the phone, and he couldn't understand how I did it. Another one, I had a client call me because she had one of her beautiful mules in the vet clinic, and the mule was like screaming in agony, but he wasn't showing symptoms of colic. Colic is a catch-all term for a bellyache, and he was showing that he was in this excruciating pain, but he was not having any colic symptoms. And so she had me on the phone while there's 3 veterinarians standing there scratching their heads going, oh, my God, what are we going to do? And I just grounded really good, and I said, oh, my goodness, he's got a kidney stone, and he's passing it right now. I said, it's in his penis. And just while I'm on the phone, she goes, wait, he's dropping, because, horses have a retractable penis. And she said, wait, he's dropping. And she's telling the vets, he's passing a kidney stone, and they're all going, what? And, of course, he peed it out, and just as he's peeing, you can hear this plink, and there it was.
Interesting. I just want the guys to know, I know we have a hard time communicating because it's not working, but we could communicate through Facebook Messenger, okay, guys? It'll be much easier for us to work that way. I know you had a follow-up, Victor?
Yes. In terms of intuitive ability with pets and the veterinary ability with pets, intuitive veterinary, looking into, I've always found, and I don't put myself out as a pet intuitive or a pet healer, although I do pet healing. I've always found that looking into an animal's eyes is very powerful for me. It would be a dog, cat, horse, birds, whatever it might be. Do you find that connection also, that the eye-to-eye connection is a very powerful transmission tool with animals?
I really agree with you, Victor. The thing is most of my work's by phone, so I never really get to make that eye-to-eye connection. But it's very, very powerful. It's especially with horses, looking in the eye of a horse is like you're looking into your own soul even. It's incredibly powerful. It does tell me a lot. But because I do most of my work by phone, I do it all over the world. A lot of times I never get to meet the animals.
Yeah, I once saw a horse that I looked into his eyes, and he seemed to be depressed. And psychically, I asked him, I said, "Horse, why the long face?"
Oh, ha, ha, ha.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, I would like to know if you would remote view me, scan me, and tell me what you find.
You would have to share with me what you're most concerned with.
His beard.
Is it the beard again?
No.
The beard is fine. It gets babied. My health.
I'm picking up second and third chakra issues on you. So second chakra would be childhood issues that you haven't resolved. And then third chakra issue is power, ego, and control. And so those are the issues that I see with you. The biggest thing is you have the most wonderful heart. You're such a giving, loving, caring person. But it's really funny because people only get one chance with you, Jeremy.
That's a fact.
Wow.
That's a fact. Terry, I got to say, that's very good because, we have a mutual friend. Well, he's more my friend than he's Jeremy's friend. And, Jeremy is the kind of person, he'll give you one chance. And if you screw up, he pretty much dismisses you. And he has no remorse, no regret over it, and he just moves on. And you pretty much hit that right on the head. I actually like that a lot. Outstanding.
She nailed it.
The thing is that, and one of the biggest missions that I'm on is to teach people that all disease is curable and all disease is caused by stuck negative emotions. And anyone can learn to do energy healing. I send out the free instructions to anybody anytime they want them. And I've had dramatic results with it. Even my sister was diagnosed with lymphoma and only given 6 months to live. And I sent her to a healer because this was years ago, before I was doing energy healing myself. And she had one session with this guy, came home, she had a scan 2 weeks later, and her doctor called her up and said, "What the hell did you do?" Because it was gone. And this is years and years and years ago.
Pretty cool.
Well, is there anything else that you see that I should know about?
Not that I think you want me to say publicly. I think if you want to email me, call me.
Well, Terry, I would ask you to skin me, but all you get is sexy beasts, and we don't want to put that out there. So,
well, I would like to know, how can these abilities that you have been blessed with help people and animals in their daily lives?
I think it's just important for people to know and understand that there's more going on with their pets than they think. I think a lot of people, when they get an elderly dog, their dog gets old, they just go, well, they're old. They don't realize how much pain that animal's in. So it's really important to, get the animal chiropractic and acupuncture and medication if that's required. And I think with people, they need to understand that we're all the same energy and we're all connected. What happens to one of us impacts the rest of us. The thing is I really, really don't even like the word psychic because it means not of the physical sciences. And I really like the word intuitive because everybody's intuitive.
Absolutely.
And it takes it more into that physics realm rather than the woo-woo realm.
Absolutely, the energy realm rather than the mysterious realm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of, Victor, I just want to demystify it because, the information is available in the universe. It's out there for all of us all the time to pick up on. And I teach courses on this too. And I have the Intuitive Messenger Boot Camp. It's a one-day workshop where by the end of the day, people are doing readings for each other. It is just a hoot. And these are people that have never done readings before ever because it's that easy. It's that easy to learn.
And what a wonderful transition to say that you're listening to Vision Quest, and our wonderful guest tonight is Terry J. And Terry, let our listeners know how they can find about you and your work and your services.
The best way to get me is on my website, which is just www.terrijay.com, or you can call me at 775-849-2727, but don't call me right now. And the only thing is, remember, I'm on Pacific time, so my New York clients wait until 8 a.m. to call me, and it's still 5 a.m. here.
Oh, God. Well, I have a question for you. I'm sure you get a lot of, speaking with animals, animal spirit, you must get some crazy messages. Could you share some of the more maybe outlandish messages you've gotten from animals?
The things that they tell me are so specific. I always say I can't make this SHIT up because it's just too bizarre. I have a very, very spoiled pony. She's a Haflinger, and she comes to the back door and she screams in my window at 5:30 in the morning. And our neighbor got some new dogs, and it was so bizarre because I was in the front yard and the dogs were barking at her, and of course she was standing just out of reach of them. And she comes over, and the first thing she tells me, and of course it's all mental, is those dogs are assholes, just like that.
I like that. You had a follow-up, Victor?
Terry, yeah, this is something that I've always wondered about other people who have intuitive sense about animals. Animals don't think in words. They think in pictures and thought forms. But I've noticed that whenever I've connected with an animal, especially dogs, I actually hear words rather than see visual images. How do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely, Victor. I agree with you 100% because they have lots and lots and lots of words. And my horse will always ask me when I give her something to eat, she'll always say, how sound is kind of how she asks me, what do you call that? And I'll repeat the word. And it's almost like I can hear her at the back door going, oatmeal, 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 because that's her bedtime snack, and she gets a handful of dry oatmeal.
Nice.
And, so they do know words. It was really funny. We had a horse come in for my handicap riding program one time, and the owner said, now, the weird thing about this horse is it doesn't eat carrots. And I said, well, we're just going to have to fix that. And anyway, so I finally would break a carrot and hand it to him, and then I would just stick it in his mouth. They have a place in their mouth where there's no teeth on the side. That's where the bit sits. And I would just take a little piece of carrot and put it in his mouth and tell him, chew, chew. And I'd say, sweet, sweet. Give him the feeling of something sweet. It was so funny. It was so funny because he would say, it was like he was going, this is delicious. And afterward, his word for carrot was to hear the snap of a carrot and then show someone handing it to him. And he's eaten carrots ever since.
Wow. Jeremy, you had a follow-up? Go ahead.
Actually, I was going to ask her, one of the things that I've always wanted to do is have a therapeutic riding facility for handicap, disabled, Downs. I had a distant cousin that had Downs, and so that's one thing that I would really like to do. So I'd like to talk to you about that after the show.
Oh, absolutely. I did it for 35 years, so I'm a walking compendium of the good, the bad, and the ugly on that.
You started when you were 4 years old? That's so wonderful.
Oh, Victor, you have to marry me with all those compliments.
He is a sweet talker. You better watch out. You'll get a cavity. Every woman he talks to comes out with 2 or 3 cavities. Trust me.
There you go.
But Terry, I have a question from our station manager, Denny, and he had a dog, Chico, for 13 years. And he wants to know, if his dog got passed on, is he okay, or is he still suffering? Is he still suffering, or is he okay?
Well, first of all, it feels to me like he's got that dog back in a new physical form.
Oh, really?
It feels like that dog came right back. So if he got another dog right after that one died.
He did.
Yeah.
Denny, why don't you come on the air real quick with us, if you don't mind?
Okay, guys.
Okay, well, you can talk to her about it. This is Denny, Terry.
Hey, Denny. It feels to me like that dog's spirit came right back to you and it's really funny. I can feel that dog. He's going, oh, Denny's high maintenance. Denny needs a lot of he's high maintenance. He needs a lot of attention.
You have no idea how much attention this man craves.
Well,
come on, Denny, is that true? Do you really need that much attention?
No.
Denny, come on, man. Don't lie to us, man. Your appetite for attention is so insatiable.
Wait. Hold on a second. Denny is very, very close with his wife, Tiffany. Maybe it's Tiffany who needs all the attention.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not gonna go there. The other thing too, Danny, that a lot of people have a misconception about, and I really want to clarify this, and if I'm going to say this very respectfully because I know you guys are mediums too, but here's the thing: look at the physics of death. Okay, we're a 99% spiritual being in a 1% physical body, or I joke and call it a meat suit. Okay, when we leave our physical bodies behind, we return to being pure positive energy. Now, only the pure positive energy can go to the other side to be one with Source, okay? So everything negative gets shed off and left behind. So if you pick up something negative, pain, suffering, anger, fear, bad memories, if you pick up something negative from a deceased person, you're dumpster diving.
Interesting.
Because everyone goes on. And here's the thing: there's another medium who had a television show, and he was in Reno, and I got to go backstage and meet him. And as soon as I walked back there, he started scanning me, and I called him on it. And so we were just yippee yapping, and he asked if I had read his book, and
was it James Van Prague?
Well, I have to say the title of the book, so that'll kind of give it away.
Okay.
And the book was called Unfinished Business. And I mean, I couldn't help myself. I made a face. I said, what? Like that. And he said, yeah, it's about people who can't cross over because they have unfinished business. And I said, there is no such thing. And I mean, his manager got up and his mouth fell open. And I explained to him what I just explained to you, that when we tune into stuck negative energy, we're dumpster diving. We're rooting around in the garbage that a spirit has left behind because it's not a vibrational match to God or Source on the other side. It can't go to the other side. So no pain, no suffering, no negative thoughts,